Hey, before I got over to the paper itself, I wanted to show you something you can also do with gesture. You can start adding color right on top of your drawing. You can use colored pencil, whatever you need to do to block in values. I'm always more comfortable with a brush than a pencil. It's just faster and looser. But I can start to really look now at the distance between. And for example, this shape here, I'm leaning over because before it was sideways, so you couldn't really even see the direction. I was like, God, it looks like I'm drawing it wrong, but I was on an angle. So I'm just going to use a little bit similar color to this here. And this is another way to start getting used to it before you switch to the watercolor paper. And I'm just going to kind of look at some of these shapes and how they hit. There's a square here, and I'm going to use a warm red just because it's kind of a warm red here up there. So I'm going to use paint as a tool for continuing the drawing. When you start using shapes of value on top of your line, things start to get much more accurate. So I can start checking out this shape here and how it hits here. And then I was using this kind of a green. It doesn't matter what color it is, but I can start looking at the distance in between. I'm going to show you like this. The distance in between these things. See, now I can realize this goes straight down and not as curved, so I can correct that on this shape. And I can lift this one up by noticing that the green, which now represents the water, this has kind of an open white foamy shape. So each time I'm like, oh, there's foam. Oh, there's this distance. Oh, this is further, this is closer. So it also gives you good practice for when you start moving it over there. But you can see like it's just a slow building process towards accuracy. You don't have to get it right the first time. You know, get to know it. And then the cool thing is, while you're doing this, you can start looking at what earth tones are in there. That's part of the project. This olive there is a gorgeous kind of a yellowish, earthy, like a yellow ochre. So next to this little strip of foam here, you have the beginning of this shape. And then you go, oh, look, it's darker there. It has more volume and value on the bottom. And then it runs into here. Another great thing to do, instead of getting too detailed, is get a bigger brush and just take a color. I'm going to take this red color and I'm going to block this whole thing in, except for that nice highlight there. But by painting this whole thing in loosely, I can do a nice big mass gesture. And just blocking that in starts you to really start to see these relationships. Again, the thing about making a mess and not even worrying about an eraser is so helpful. When you're done kind of scribbling with pencil, switch to a colored pencil. When you're done scribbling with that, switch to a paint. It doesn't matter. Just keep building until you have more accuracy. And this is a great opportunity to study local color. You can see that I matched that color pretty well. And as you're doing this, you can think, oh, what saturation am I going to use? What am I going to leave white? It's obvious that you would leave highlights of white, but what else do you want to leave white? The glass, the background, maybe leave a couple of the olives pure white. But these are opportunities to kind of think through the possibilities. And then you notice here, it starts to get darker there. So this would be a good opportunity to wet it and do some wet and wet blending, because now we're thinking about technique. We want to get some glazing, some backgrounds, some wet and wet blending, earth tones. It's got a lot going on in this project. But that's the process. Just keep building. And you could even play around with wax and salt on here. You know, like maybe I would put, maybe up here I want to put some wax. And then paint over it and see what goes on with that. That's sort of an earth tone color. So what if I go like that and just see how that goes? Well, that didn't resist very well. But another thing I could do here is use a bounty paper towel. Now we talked about lift out, Press down, lift out. So subtle highlights are great to use a bounty towel with. And all these techniques that you're doing here are opportunities to do on your next project. So use this drawing as a real fun, playful sketch. Practice loose line gesture, practice shapes of value, start exploring color, figure out the spaces between. If you get the right size of those, it all falls in. I'll do a little more realism later. Bye.